If it's Friday night, it is Strictly Sports. Hello, friends. It's Anthony Floyo here with you for this edition of Strictly Sports. Delighted to have you with us as always, and do apologize for the slight delay here. We had a little glitch on our end, but it's been well taken care of now. So yeah, Anthony Floyo here with Michael Bullock here, as Michael Fletcher will not be joining us due to work commitments as usual. As you know, we didn't have a show last week because the entire panel all had commitments beyond our control, and so we just decided to cancel the show. So yeah, we're back in this week, and it's good to be back here. Busy show here today, or I should say this evening. And we're going to get into the stories that we were going to get into last week, and of course the news stories that we're going to get into as well. So there's one story that we will not be getting into since Michael Fletcher is not on it. But all right. Let's start it off with our first story of this week. New York Mets pitcher Henry Mejia suspended, or I should say banned for life from Major League Baseball for testing positive for PEDs for the third time under the new PED policy. He has been banned for life, and it's a damn shame. I mean, it's a shame that this had to happen, and I don't know what caused the positive tests, but the ban for life, that's really all it is. And it's, I never thought in my wildest dreams that somebody was going to actually succumb to this. I mean, I was hoping when this policy went in, I mean, it is what it is. And yeah, it's just horrible. January this one, well, he had signed a deal, a 1-year deal for $2.47 million, avoiding arbitration, and then he was only going to get a portion of that. He would have to sit out the 99 games of the year, and then a couple weeks ago, it was announced that he had tested positive for boldenone, second player to have 3 positive tests after Neifi Perez, and since this was his third positive test for automatic anabolic steroids, he was automatically banned from life. First person to be banned for life due to PED use, and one of only 2 living people to be permanently banned. Of course, the other is Pete Rose. And Mejia is allowed to petition Rob Manfred, the commissioner, for reinstatement after 1 year. However, he must sit out a minimum of 2 years, meaning that he will not be eligible to pitch again until 2018 at the earliest. He remains under the Mets' control until the end of his current contract, when the club can choose to non-tender him. So that's the story right there. And Mets can technically keep him, but will they bother? I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't, because you know how I am. I don't want any distractions on my team whatsoever. I mean, it isn't quite that simple, but we have to study up on the nuances of baseball's joint drug agreement when it comes to lifetime suspensions. I mean, it isn't just that Mejia established a precautionary. Let me see what else. Look at my notes here. Yeah, it isn't just that he established a precedent. It's that he established a precedent that we suspect most others never envisioned getting established at all. We never thought such repeat offenders would necessarily give up on trying to get illegal advantages. It's good to know these details as we ride through them with Mejia. It's even better to know them should a higher profile player down the road behave equally foolishly. Now, you probably know by now, if you've been following this story, Mejia's suspension is not guaranteed to be permanent. The true collectively bargained guarantee is 2 years. As per the terms of the agreement, he can apply for reinstatement a year after his banishment and get an answer on his application within no more than 60 days. So if he were to get reinstated upon issuing a timely appeal, Mejia would have at least 10 months to prepare for his return. All we know so far about Mejia's case is that he reportedly told a Dominican sports journalist that he did nothing wrong and he will appeal. It's quite possible that something got lost in translation here. Mejia's representatives have not issued an official comment on behalf of their client, but Mejia's chance to appeal already has passed. When cases stay private until a decision, as this one did, all of the battling goes on before the public proclamation. It's only in instances like Alex Rodriguez's that the appeal occurs after the public issuance of the suspension. What are Mejia's chances of getting back into organized ball? Lousy, especially if he clings to his innocence. He already went through due process and lost, so unless he could come up with some exciting new scientific explanation for his positive test between now and then, he'll be beating a dead horse. He'll have better odds if he fesses up and bemoans his poor decisions. Even if he does the latter, though, it's unlikely Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred will be sympathetic. To the contrary, in order for Major League Baseball to appease the many finger-wagging moralists, it wants its lifetime suspensions to actually last a lifetime. Assuming Manfred turned down the appeal, Mejia could then take it to an independent arbitrator. The pressure would be on Mejia and the Players Association to come up with something good, but they'd be blazing a trail for future three-time offenders, assuming there are any. For argument's sake, let's say Mejia wins his appeal next year and gets reinstated for 2018. What's his deal? Is he a Met? A free agent? The answer at this moment is, we don't know yet. Because he signed a one-year, $2.47 million contract with the Mets for 2016, and though he won't see a cent of it, he remains the Mets' property for the duration of this season. He also gets Major League service time, meaning that by the end of the season, he'll have 4+ years of service. In December, the Mets will have to determine whether to tender him under another contract. They'll probably non-tender him. He just isn't worth it anymore, right? He isn't even that good. But what if Mejia were an elite starting pitcher with similar service time? It would make sense for the team to keep tendering him contracts, right? The player would then forfeit his salary due to his suspension, but he'd keep accruing service time. And from the team's perspective, it would retain its rights to the player. Under this scenario, Mejia would be a 5+ player with 1 year to go before free agency in 2018. It very likely is not going to happen, but that avenue is available. And if this were to happen to a player signed to a long multi-year contract, then he would remain under the team's employment, just not getting his salary until the contract ran out. My final point on this, since this issue often comes up in question but rarely occurs in reality, Mejia cannot play in Asia because the Japanese and Korean leagues honor Major League Baseball discipline. He could play independent ball with the Mets' permission, and the Mets, going back to the idea that Mejia isn't talented enough to tolerate anymore, might very well grant that permission. The bottom line is, we very likely haven't heard the last of Henry Mejia, and now we'll be better prepared for the next time someone does this. I would say it's highly unlikely there'll be a second such offender, though I would have said the same thing about a first one. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Michael Bullock, I don't know how you're going to follow that, but try anyway.
Man, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to follow that, but like I said, I will try. Well, first off, hello, friends. Mike Bullock here for another edition of Strictly Sports. Delighted to be here as always. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised when I heard the news that Mejia was basically banned for life from Major League Baseball for a third, when he got caught for a third time with performance-enhancing drugs, and he becomes the first Major League player to be banned since, of course, we all know Pete Rose, of course, still banned for life for betting on baseball, and of course, Pete Rose tried to get back in, and of course, Rob Manfred basically didn't see that Pete Rose was a changed man, so he said, you know what, we're keeping your lifetime ban from baseball. So, and that may have been his last chance to get into the Hall of Fame. And now I can say is he's never going to get in there. So, yes, as far as Mejia, I mean, he was doing so good as the Mets closer, and I mean, getting caught once is bad. Getting caught twice, that's even badder. But to get caught a third time, that is just plain stupidity. And I mean, what was the point of him having to do this again? I mean, he was already caught twice before this, and what made him think that he wasn't going to get caught again? Well, let's just say he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar again, and Manfred said, "Nope, that's it. You're done. You're banned for life." And well, and I mean, ever since they put this policy in there, it's basically like 3 strikes and you're out. Well, Mejia basically got 3 strikes, and now he's banned from baseball. So he's got nobody to blame but himself for this. So I mean, he can appeal. He can do all this, all this yada 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 and stuff in front of an arbitrator. But does he have any chance to win? He needs to come up with some kind of a scientific explanation for this. Other than that, he's got no chance. No chance of getting this lifetime ban overturned. I mean, he. He's got a. I have a better chance of winning the Powerball jackpot than him getting his lifetime ban overturned. So yeah, and will the Mets decide to keep him? If I were running the team, I would say screw it. I'm cutting your ass, and because you decided to break the rules 3 times, and we don't want you as a distraction for the team. So yeah, look what happened with the Yankees when they had to go through the whole A-Rod or A-Royd situation, and he became a distraction when the media kept asking him about the steroid situation. So, do the Mets want to go through that same thing? No. I would basically cut his ass immediately. So, congratulations, Mejia. You you decided to throw your career away. So, in the immoral words of fucking Ren and Stimpy, you're a fucking idiot. You're a moron. You're a douchebag. And I hope we never see your face in Major League Baseball again. Done. Finished. Florio, please, let's move on to something positive before I really freaking lose my mind.
Well, thankfully, we are going to move on to something positive there, Bullock. We're going to recap NBA All Star Weekend. NBA All Star Saturday night and the NBA All Star Game, both in Toronto 2 weekends ago. During the Valentine's Day weekend. NBA All Star Saturday night, which featured the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. It was won by Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then we witnessed Klay Thompson from the NBA champion Golden State Warriors win the 3-point shootout. And then the slam dunk contest. That was once again, Zach LaVine successfully defends his slam dunk title that he won last year in Brooklyn. And then in the All-Star game, the Western Conference winning over the Eastern Conference, 196-173 was the final score. Just missed out on 200 points. Records among records were set in the NBA All-Star game. Oh, man. So Michael Bullock, I prevail upon you, sir. I got to ask you, I'm very curious to find out your thoughts on this All-Star weekend. Everybody's raving about how great this All-Star weekend was. In fact, many are calling it one of the greatest, if not the greatest, NBA All-Star weekend of all time. How do you feel about it?
Now, is it All-Star Saturday night and the All-Star game, or is it just the All-Star Saturday night?
I think it's more the All-Star Saturday night than anything else. But you can make an argument for the game too, even though it was a rout, mainly because of all the records that were set.
Yeah, I'd rather talk more about the All-Star Saturday night than the game itself.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, because there's been, you know how it is when it comes to the All-Star game. There's literally like no defense when it comes to the All-Star game. That's why we have these high-scoring affairs. So basically, I can give two craps about the All-Star game, but All-Star weekend, especially All-Star Saturday night, I definitely want to get into. So yeah. So first I'm trying to get everything up here when it comes to this. Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up on my phone here. but yeah, I mean, Klay Thompson in the 3-point contest. I'm not all that surprised that he won this. He's a real good. He's a real good 3-point shooter. So yeah, I mean, we all thought Steph Curry was going to win this, but that didn't turn out to be that way. So yeah, just yeah, yeah, and yeah, who was it that won the who was it that won the skills competition?
Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, so give me just a minute here. Yeah, I'm just pulling it up right here. So, oops, didn't get the. Yeah, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, I thought he had a. Yeah, I thought he had a real good. He did really good in the skills competition. I mean, I thought he did everything well in this, and so yeah, definitely it was. But the yeah, but basically, of course, I mean, the slam dunk contest was. Oh, oh, I got it. I mean, yeah, when it comes to the skills challenge, I mean, yeah, and of course, Patrick Beverly of the Houston Rockets, Jordan Clarkson of the Lakers, C.J. McCollum of the Portland Trailblazers, Isaiah Thomas of my team, the Boston Celtics, uh, Emmanuel Mudiay of the Denver Nuggets, DeMarcus Cousins of the Sacramento Kings, Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans, Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors. Well, of course, Patrick Beverly was unable to. Well, Emmanuel Mudiay replaced Patrick Beverly because of an ankle injury. So, yeah, it came down to Karl Anthony Towns and Isaiah Thomas in the finals. But Karl Anthony Towns did really good, and basically he won it. And then when it comes to the 3-point contest, yeah, of course you had Chris Bosh of the Miami Heat, Chris Middleton of the Milwaukee Bucks, C.J. McCollum of the Portland Trailblazers, Kyle Lowry of the Toronto Raptors, James Harden of the Houston Rockets, J.J. Redick of the Clippers, Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns, Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors, and Klay Thompson. So, but well, Bosh was supposed to be in this, but McCollum ended up being the replacement. So yeah, I mean, well, when it comes to the first round, of course, it was Klay Thompson had 22, Steph Curry in 21, and Devin Booker with J.J. Redick and James Harden. They both had 20, but only 3 could move on to the final round, and they had a tiebreaker. And Devin Booker had 12 in the tiebreaker, so he moved on. And we all were thinking Steph Curry was obviously going to win this because he's a damn good 3-point shooter. But in the end, it was his teammate Klay Thompson who had 27 in the final round. So yeah, so that basically. So congratulations to Klay Thompson. And then we come to our favorite, the slam dunk contest, and Zach LaVine was trying to become the first back-to-back slam dunk contest winner since Nate Robinson did it. And of course, you had Zach LaVine, the defending champion, in there. You had Aaron Gordon of the Orlando Magic, Andre Drummond of the Detroit Pistons, and Will Barton of the Denver Nuggets. And yeah, in the first round, I mean, of course, in in the first dunk attempt, Zach LaVine got a 50 and then got a 49. He got 99, so he was able to move on. Aaron Gordon had a 45 in his first attempt, and his second attempt ended up getting a 49. So he ended up moving on, while Andre Drummond got a 36 in his first attempt at the slam dunk, and then a 39 in his second attempt. And then Will Barton got a 44, and then he got a 30. So, but then that final round, whew, that was just freaking awesome. And Aaron Gordon had 350s and a 47 to get a 197, but Zach LaVine hit 50 on all of his attempts and became the first back-to-back slam dunk contest winner since Nate Robinson. So, yeah, so congratulations to Zach LaVine on winning the slam dunk contest, and congratulations to everybody on All-Star Saturday night. So, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. So, Florio, your thoughts on All-Star Saturday night?
I tell you, Bullock, All-Star Saturday night was the greatest, maybe the greatest All-Star Saturday night I ever saw. I mean, unbelievable.
I would have to say probably since that All-Star weekend when Vince Carter when he won that dunk contest.
Oh yeah, the Raptors there, yeah. But I'll tell you, I mean, every event.
Dwight Howard with that when he put on the freaking Superman cape, and it looked more like a throwdown than a dunk, but still, that was freaking awesome.
I know, but I tell you what, the best All-Star weekend I've ever seen. Well, NBA All-Star Saturday night, rather. I mean, every event had some form of Shakespearean drama in it. I mean, every event was 5 stars, honestly. If I had to give a rating, I would say it was a perfect 10, because it was, like I said, when you think about everything that went down, I mean, that skills challenge, especially that final round with Karl-Anthony Towns and Isaiah Thomas, I mean, that was unbelievable. That was incredible. I love that tournament format, and I hope they bring it back again next year. And then from there, the 3-point shootout, yeah, we all thought it was going to be Steph Curry's to lose, but we forgot about Klay Thompson. I told you, watch out for Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson was a dark horse, in my opinion. And go figure, he wound up winning it. And how about Devin Booker? Devin Booker was a surprise final entrant. I mean, I didn't expect him to get that far, but he sure did. And he had to go up against the Splash Brothers, and go figure, one of them would win it. It just wasn't who we thought. And you give it up for Klay Thompson. I mean, that was a very exciting 3-point shootout. And then a dunk contest for the ages, ranks up there as one of the greatest dunk contests of all time, probably since, Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins, when they had that unbelievable showdown in 1988 in Chicago at the old Chicago Stadium. But I tell you what, that was unbelievable. Best final I've ever seen. I mean, 50s, and wow. I mean, what Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon did just blew us all away. We're not even here. That's how exciting it was. So that All-Star Saturday night, oh yeah. If you missed it, I mean, you're definitely kicking yourself now, because that was just amazing what went down. 196 to 173 was the final score of the All-Star game, and I gotta tell you, just amazing. I mean, records among records. I mean, statistical records, just unreal. I mean, they set a record for the most combined points in an All-Star game with 369. I mean, I'm just... Paul George of the Indiana Pacers almost set the record for the most points in an All-Star game. He came up 1 point short, 41. Yeah, we saw it. 196 combined. And then most points in a game by a team, 196. The West also set a record for the most points in the first half with 92. Both teams combined for 108 and 82 points in the first half. And then trying to find most field goals made. The West made 82 field goals. Both teams combined to make 157 field goals. Most field goals attempted. The West attempted 149. Most field goals attempted by both teams, 286. And the West made 31 three-point shots. And both teams combined for 51. The West attempted 83 point attempts. They combined for 139. And fewest free throws made. The West only made 1. Both teams combined for only 4. Yeah. West attempted 2, and both teams combined to attempt only 7 free throws combined. Unreal. And that's just some of the unbelievable statistical achievements that both teams would combine for in this particular All-Star game. So, yeah, the margin of victory was 23 and all that, and it was not a 5-star classic of a game with Shakespearean drama at its finest, but the only reason why I'm gushing about it is because of the records. And you know me, I love records. I love stats. I love, doing the research on said stats. I mean, again, I say I'm blown away. I'm not even here right now. Just when I think about all the unbelievable, just a testament to just how great these players really are. And they put on a show in Toronto. And, we've been talking about, certain cities and certain arenas that have been, been getting treated to unbelievable shows over these last couple of weeks. I mean, the fans in Toronto for both All-Star Saturday Night and the NBA All-Star Game, they're taking home memories. They're probably still talking about it to this day. It wouldn't surprise me. And then you go to the world of professional wrestling and you look at what happened on Monday Night Raw this past Monday night. If you didn't watch the Wrestling Forum, strongly suggest you do. Check it out because, goodness. I mean, you want to talk about, the most newsworthy Monday Night Raw in recent memory. I mean, the fans in the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, they took home memories, and they're probably still talking about it to this day. My question is, what are the fans in Nashville, Tennessee going to be thinking on Monday night? And we'll get more into that, when we talk about it at the end of the show, when we set up the future content. And a major announcement, by the way, when it comes to the direction of the Wrestling Forum going forward. So I'm sure you'll all like this announcement. So I know I do. So, but nonetheless, this All-Star weekend, just incredible. And let's keep this going. Let's keep the Shakespearean drama train going. I mean, it's not very often we talk about this on our show, but Derek put it in the docket. So you know what? Let's dive into it. The Daytona 500 in the world of NASCAR. Greatest Daytona 500 ever. Can I say that? I just did. A finish for the closest finish in Daytona 500 history. It was Denny Hamlin who walked away with the title. I mean, Denny Hamlin winning the Daytona 500. Oh, my. As I get the information here. In a photo finish over Martin Truex Jr. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Carl Edwards, they rounded out the top 5. 27th career victory for Denny Hamlin. his first Daytona 500 win. Oh, man. I mean, just blows me away. I mean, other notables, well, that's qualifying. All right. Yeah, Denny Hamlin, the winner. Martin Truex Jr. was second. Busch, Harvick, and Edwards. And you may be wondering about some notables here. Dale Earnhardt Jr. finished 36th. Danica Patrick finished 35th. Michael Waltrip finished 30th. Brad Keselowski was 20th. Jimmy Johnson was 16th. Kurt Busch 10th. Joey Logano was 6th. Those are just the notables when it comes to the results there. So Denny Hamlin winning it in a photo finish over Martin Truex Jr. just unbelievable. I mean, just wow. I mean, 20 lead changes among 15 different drivers, 6 cautions for 31 laps. Time of the race was 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 25 seconds. The average speed was 157.549 miles an hour. And that's it. So congratulations to Denny Hamlin. And I'm going to be honest with you. I may not be a NASCAR junkie. I'm not I really don't follow NASCAR. I do know a few people who do. And for those of you who do, well, I know they probably very much enjoyed the race, and we talk about fans taking home memories in the arenas. I just talked about it with the NBA All-Star Weekend in Toronto and Monday Night Raw this past Monday night in Detroit, and the fans in Daytona, for goodness sakes. I mean, John Cena was there as well, driving a pace car, but I didn't watch any of the race, but I heard about it, and all I can say was Shakespearean drama at its absolute finest. I mean, what a finish! I mean, maybe the greatest finish. Like I think it will go down as the greatest finish in Daytona 500 history, unless we get one that tops it. But I really don't think you can't top a photo finish, for goodness sakes. So that's really all I have to say about it. So, Michael Bullock, I know we never usually talk about NASCAR, but Derek put it on the docket anyway. But your thoughts on the greatest finish in Daytona 500?
Man, it certainly was one of the greatest finishes in Daytona 500 history. I mean, Denny Hamlin winning it by a nose, and I mean, you take a look at that, the photo when they showed it on replay. Man, oh man, it was a close one, and Chase Elliott. I mean, he won the pole the week before, and here in the Daytona 500, he gets eliminated early because basically he crashed. So yeah, and I mean, it's just another great memory to the Daytona 500, and we've seen a lot of great moments and great winners in history. I mean, like, of course, the late great Dale Earnhardt, Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has won this great event. Jeff Gordon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but this definitely ranks right up there. And then, of course, and I know this is a little bit of a somber note. I mean, when you think of the Daytona 500, and you can't help but think of what happened. Oh man, I can't believe I'm saying this, but 15 years ago. I think you know where I'm going with this, Florio.
Yeah, I certainly do.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Waltrip. I mean, he wins the race, but unfortunately, tragedy struck in Daytona that year, 15 years ago, where Dale Earnhardt died on that track, and when I saw the replay of the crash that took place, it really didn't look that bad. And the thing is, the crash that happened before that, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I thought someone got hurt very bad. And Floria, what were you thinking when you saw that 15 years ago?
Well, like I said, I've never been a fan of NASCAR, but I didn't see it as it happened. I heard about it, and I mean,
Well, did they show like a replay? I mean,
oh yeah,
I mean,
they did.
what did you originally think when you saw it?
I mean, I don't
Did you
know. I
really
mean, I
think it would
was
actually turn out to be something serious?
I was praying that it didn't.
Well, because I'll be quite honest. I mean, when the crash happened, I was thinking he's going to get out of this all right. But then when the paramedics and the ambulances showed up and tried to get him out of there, I'm like, oh shit, this has turned out to be more serious than I originally thought it was. And they took him and wheeled him to the hospital, and it wasn't until later on that night when they made Mike Helton the president of NASCAR had to make probably one of the most toughest announcements ever when he said that Dale Earnhardt passed away, and I was just shocked. I was just shocked, and I mean, it felt like someone took a knife and basically twisted it. I mean, that's how I felt when I heard that Dale Earnhardt passed away, and it went from, and even Michael Waltrip said this, and it was on a special when then it was known as Speed TV. It was called The Day, talking about Dale Earnhardt, and he said it went from being the biggest day of his life to the worst day of his life, just like that. And I'm pretty sure everyone else could say the same thing because everybody knew this man, and that was just. I mean, I couldn't help but think of what happened whenever the Daytona 500 comes around, but we always think of the good moments, like like the race that we saw this past Sunday, and Denny Hamlin. All I can say is congratulations to you. You join a list of great competitors that have won this great event, and could this lead to bigger and really good things for Denny Hamlin this year? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see as the NASCAR season progresses. So with that being said, Florio, uh, you already talked about it, did you?
Yeah,
All right. Then I say we just move on to our next topic.
yeah, um, yeah. I got into it. So, all right. Next up, it's one of our. This is more of a question, really. Should the Sacramento Kings fire George Karl? Michael Bullock, front and center.
I would have to say yes. I mean, this team just I mean this team just basically sucks, and the thing with him and DeMarcus Cousins, the rift between those two, it just continues to get worse, and I mean it doesn't look like this team is going to turn it around. So basically, I think the team really needs to move on from George Karl, and they really need to find a coach that can really guide this team and get them back to what they once were, and when they once were an actual main event mafia team back in the days of Chris Webber and Peja Stojakovic and Vlade Divac and Mike Bibby and, and I mean those I mean the team that they had back then was so good, but it doesn't come close to resembling what they were back then, and so they really need to get a lot of work done, and so So yeah, I hate to say it. I mean, I got nothing against George Karl. George Karl. I mean, he's a good coach. I mean, he's done a lot of good things, especially with the Denver Nuggets. But to me, with everything that's been going on around, I think it's time for the Kings to basically move on from George Karl. So that's pretty much all I can say. So Florio, I give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to think about, but I mean, George Karl has always been a great coach. I mean, he's taken teams that were terrible for so many years and turned them into proven contenders. I mean, his body of work spoke for itself. I mean, he is one of the great coaches in NBA history. I mean, you think about all he's accomplished. He's 64 years old. He played college ball for the University of North Carolina from 70 to 73 under the great Dean Smith. Was selected by the New York Knicks in the fourth round in the 1973 draft as the 66th overall pick, and he played with the San Antonio Spurs in the ABA and NBA from 73 to 78, and that was it. And then he went into coaching in 1978. He was an assistant coach with the San Antonio Spurs from 78 to 80. And then from 1980 to 83, he was with the Montana. He was the head coach of the Montana Golden Nuggets, his very first head coaching job. And then from 1984 to 1986, he was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then was the head coach of the Golden State Warriors from 1986 to 1988. Then he was the head coach of the Albany Patroons from 1988 to 1989. Coached a Real Madrid basketball team in 1989 to 1990. 1990 to 1991 went back to the Albany Patroons, and then 1991 to 1992 went back to Real Madrid, a FIBA team, I believe. He became an assistant coach for the Spurs, and he moved on to they're a part of the CBA, the Continental Basketball Association, with the Montana Golden Nuggets, and was voted the CBA Coach of the Year twice in 1981 and 1983. 1984 became the head coach of the NBA's Cleveland Cavaliers, took them to the playoffs in 1985, dismissed by the Cavs in 1986 near the end of the season. In the 86-87 season, he coached the Golden State Warriors and took them from a record of 30-52 the year before to the playoffs for the first time in 10 years at the time. Reached the semifinals against the Magic Johnson-led LA Lakers, Game 4 of which is still shown on TV in the NBA's Greatest Game series. And then Karl resigned from the Warriors with 18 games left in the 87-88 campaign due to the frustration of losing when 3 of his top 4 scorers from the 87 playoff team had been traded, and the 4th went through an alcohol rehab and missed over a month. Returned to the CBA in 88 as coach of the Albany Patroons before coaching Real Madrid in Spain for 2 years, and then went back to the CBA with the Patroons, where they went 50-6, went 28-0 at home, and then won his third CBA Coach of the Year award. And then from 1992 to 1998, we all know where he was. He was with the Seattle Supersonics. And then 1998 through 2003 was with the Milwaukee Bucks. 2005 to 2013 was with the Denver Nuggets. And then 2015 now, and of course now with the Sacramento Kings, obviously. Seattle Supersonics, of course, we got to talk about his time in Seattle. All 7, in each of his 7 years in Seattle, team made the postseason, winning 3 division titles and eclipsing the 55-win mark in every year that he was coach for a full season, including an appearance in the NBA Finals in 1996. That team won 64 games. They were very good. That team with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton and Detlef Schrempf and all them. Were they good enough to win the championship? Absolutely. But the thing is, they didn't win the championship because of the fact that they went up against who I still consider, as of now, the greatest NBA team of all time, the 1996 Chicago Bulls, the 72-10 team. MJ and Scotty, Phil Jackson, they got them. They beat them in 6 games in that final in 96. And no, I mean, his career coaching record, he's coached, as of now, 1,915 regular season games, an overall record of 1,142 wins and 773 losses, 185 playoff games, but a losing record in the postseason. His postseason record is a dismal 80-105. And he's had some losing seasons, and what can I say? I mean, in his NBA career, two losing records with Cleveland. 84-85 was 36-46, 25-42, and then in Golden State was 42-40, and then the following year went 16-48 and was fired. And then in Seattle, a winning year every year, like I said, 27-15 in 91-92. And then 55-27, 63-19, 57-25, 64-18, 57-25, 61-21 with the Seattle Supersonics. Made the playoffs every year. One trip to the NBA Finals, a trip to the conference finals in 93 before they lost to the Phoenix Suns. Three times they went down in the second round of the playoffs, and then a couple of first-round exits. So, yeah, and then how about what he did with the Milwaukee Bucks? I mean, making the Milwaukee Bucks, a viable contender, especially in that 2001 season when they went 52-30 and were the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Went to the Eastern Conference Finals, but were ultimately defeated by the best team that year. That was the Philadelphia 76ers of Allen Iverson and Larry Brown. So great that he did some good things in Milwaukee, and then look what he did with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, when he was with the Denver Nuggets, they had a winning record every year he was there. Got them to the playoffs in each year he was with the Denver Nuggets, including the 2009 season when they went all the way to the Western Conference Finals before losing to another eventual champion, the Los Angeles Lakers. So, the Kobe Lakers, everybody knows that. And then, had a winning record every year. And in 1990, the full story is in 1998, he moved to the Milwaukee Bucks as head coach, lured by a particularly lucrative contract offer, helped rebuild a struggling organization in his first 3 years, steadily increasing win totals and guiding the team within one game of the NBA Finals in 2001. However, his club collapsed down the stretch of 2002, falling from the top seed in the Eastern Conference in January to 9th place in mid-April. And then Bucks management fired Carl after the 2003 season, which saw the club make the playoffs with a win total just above the 500 mark. And he also coached the U.S. national team in the 2002 FIBA World Championships. Returned in 2005 with the Denver Nuggets, took over for Michael Cooper. And July 27th of that year, he went through prostate cancer. And then a resurrection with the Nuggets, 32-8 in the second half of that season. And then he won his 800th career game on December 28th of 2006. 900th career win was on New Year's Eve in 2008. And then his 1,000th career win came on December the 10th of 2010. And Carmelo Anthony and Chauncey Billups leading the way, and they were the number 2 seed in the West, and they went on to also tie the biggest margin of victory in NBA playoff history when they beat the then New Orleans Hornets by 58 points in Game 4 of a first-round playoff series in 2009. And June 6th of 2013. Why does that date sound so familiar? June 6th of 2013. I wonder why that date sounds so familiar. Yeah, I think you all know what happened around here on that day. Trust me. George Karl was fired by the Denver Nuggets, and he left the Nuggets with a record of 423 and 257, second most wins in franchise history, only behind Doug Moe. Led Denver to the playoffs in all 9 seasons, but advanced out of the first round only once, of course, in 2009 when they went to the conference finals, and then returned to the Kings, went to the Kings on February 12th of last year, After several weeks of talks and speculation, Carl agreed to a deal to become the head coach of the Kings after signing a 4-year, $15 million deal, officially introduced on February 17th. And right now, in his first season, they were 11-19 in 30 games. So, in a dismal season this year right now. So, yeah, I hate to say it, but I think they should cut ties with him. I mean, clearly they're unhappy in Sacramento right now. I mean, you think about what's going on in Sacramento right now with, you got Rajon Rondo. He's probably causing problems there. I mean, you got a lot of Noggin Diva Dinkelbergs on that team. I mean, Rajon Rondo is one. DeMarcus Cousins is another. I mean, those are, two men with massive egos and, egos so big they need their own zip code, a la Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, it's just, things are not going well in Sacramento right now. I mean, and Bullock wants, and Bullock, you touched on a great point, man. You touched on a great point a little bit ago when you mentioned about the what the Sacramento Kings about a decade and a half ago, when the Sacramento Kings were actually a good team. When they had it, well, they weren't just a good team; they were a great team with Chris Webber and Peja Stojakovic, and I mean and that team was so fun to watch. I mean, of course, you remember in 2002, the Sacramento Kings came within one game of going to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history, but they came up short against, of course, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. So Sacramento right now is 24-32, 27 and a half games out of first in the division. Yeah, with the Golden State Warriors. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games. They're on a 1-game losing streak. But believe it or not, they're playing right now, and they're actually leading the Los Angeles Clippers 67-64 at the half. So that might actually come as a little bit of a surprise to me, considering how good the Clippers are. But if the season ended today with the Sacramento Kings being the playoffs, no, they would not be. Of course, you got Golden State, of course, leading everything. Of course, you got the San Antonio Spurs right behind them. And the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Clippers are 4. Memphis Grizzlies, who have been coming on very strongly as of late. You got the Dallas Mavericks in there and the Portland Trail Blazers and the Houston Rockets. And currently, there's an interesting battle. I mean, 6 through 8. It's a 1.5 game difference between the 6 through 8 spots, which are currently occupied by the Dallas Mavericks, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Houston Rockets there. Houston is currently in the 8th spot, but there's a team that's only a half a game out of there. And that team is actually our good friend Al Bradison's team, the Utah Jazz. They're actually a half game out. And Sacramento is actually only 4 games out of that 8th spot, because Houston has been, they've been struggling, to say the very least, even though Houston currently holds that number 8 spot. But watch out for Utah, and watch out for Sacramento. I mean, you never know, but I usually don't like coaching, transactions to go down during a season. It doesn't matter what the sport is, whether it's in the NBA or Major League Baseball or NHL, or especially in the NFL, where that's only a 16-game season, or even in college, for goodness sakes. But if I'm going to be quite honest with you, I mean, I don't know what to say. So I think as of now, maybe they should. But if you're gonna cut ties with the man, at least let him finish out the season. If I'm going to be honest with you, because like I said, I don't like transactions to go down during a season. I mean, I think that's a little rude, if I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, because I hear a lot of these things go down. I see a lot of these things go down during a season, and I'm like, why don't you just let the man finish it out? And then if you want to let him go after the season, by all means. But 24-32. I mean, yeah, that's not a great record, but that's not too bad. And they're only, like I said, they're only four games out of that number 8 spot. So anything can happen within the next couple of months. So do I think they'll make it? No, I don't think they will. Unless, they develop, more of a positive atmosphere there, because I know there's a lot of nonsense going on there right now, mainly because of Cousins and Rondo. So, being the Noggin Diva Dinkelbergs they are. So, well, that's just how I feel about it. So, we'll see what happens. But should they? Maybe, I suppose, but not now. Wait till the season's over. And if they don't make the playoffs and you want to get rid of them, by all means. He's got a great broad. He can just and if it doesn't work out, then George Karl can just go back to what he was doing once before, and that was working as an NBA analyst for ESPN. I particularly liked them on NBA Tonight with him and Cassidy Hubbard. I mean, they were fantastic together. So we'll see. So one of the great coaches of all time. It's a damn shame. If I had to do a power rankings of the 10 greatest coaches in NBA history, you better believe he's definitely on my list. He may not have won any NBA championships, but his body of work speaks for itself, and he deserves to be in anybody's top 10 all-time coaching power rankings. Greatest of all time, we all know who that is. That's Phil Jackson, hands down. Well, him and Red Auerbach are far and away the 2 greatest. So maybe that's a story for another day, but we'll see how it goes. But for right now, we're just going to move on to our next story here, and this is one that's very near and dear to Michael Bullock's heart, because it involves one of his own, one of his New England Patriots. It was announced Jerod Mayo announced his retirement from the New England Patriots. So, I know Michael Bullock is probably sad about this, considering he was one of the cornerstones of that defense, and all right. I was just looking through some notes here. So of course, we all know with the New England Patriots, we all know what happened to them this past season. Okay, I guess I just spelled it wrong. He's only 30 years old. He just celebrated his 30th birthday this past Tuesday. Played his college ball, of course, at the University of Tennessee. Old Rocky Top, all know Tennessee Volunteers. Was selected as the 10th pick in the first round of the 2008 NFL Draft. Played for Tennessee from 2004 to 2007. After redshirting the 2004 season, he appeared in 6 games at weak side outside linebacker in 2005, finishing with 13 tackles, 10 solo. Made the Volunteers starting lineup as a redshirt sophomore in 2006, as he started 11 contests at weak side outside linebacker. Finished third on the team with 83 tackles, 48 solo, including 5 sacks for minus 40 yards, 12.5 stops for losses of 51 yards, and a quarterback pressure. Also recovered 1 fumble and deflected a pass, and Rivals.com subsequently named him to their All-American second team. For his junior season, he moved to middle linebacker and started all 14 games, serving as the defensive squad's co-captain. He went on to register 140 tackles in 2007, the most by a Tennessee defender since Ernest Fields registered those same totals for Tennessee in 1990. Added 1.5 sacks for minus 11 yards, 8.5 stops for losses, and 5 quarterback pressures, and also returned an interception, 34 yards for a touchdown. Mayo was a first-team All-SEC selection and also earned All-American second-team honors by the NFL Draft Report. In the pre-draft in 2008, was considered one of the best linebackers available and drew comparisons to Will Witherspoon. and Sporting News described Mayo as a perfect fit to play one of the inside spots in a 3-4 defense. Mayo was drafted by the New England Patriots with the 10th overall pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, signed on July 24th of 2008 to a 5-year contract worth $18.9 million, including $13.8 million in bonuses and guarantees. Only rookie in the Patriots 08 class to start in Week 1 and played every snap of the defense. Named Defensive Rookie of the Month for October of 2008, 24 tackles for the month, including 11 against the Denver Broncos in his first Monday Night Football appearance. In a Thursday night game against the New York Jets, he led all defensive players with 20 tackles, 16 solo, 4 assisted. At the end of the season, he had 128 total tackles and a forced fumble, named AP Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2008 in a near unanimous vote, 49 out of 50 votes cast. Cincinnati Bengals linebacker Keith Rivers received the other vote. Injured in the 2009 season opener against the Buffalo Bills, sprained MCL in his knee was originally expected to keep him out 6 to 8 weeks, but he returned in Week 5 against the Broncos, and he finished the 09 season with 103 tackles and 1.5 sacks. 2010 was named a defensive captain. Week 4 against the Miami Dolphins, 16 tackles. 2 weeks later, 18 tackles in an overtime win over the Baltimore Ravens. In Week 8, he recorded 14 tackles in a win over the Vikings. Against the Colts in Week 11, 15 tackles. Week 12 had 8 tackles, giving him 132 on the year, surpassing his previous career high of 128 in 08. Added another 12 in Week 13 against the Jets, 16 in Week 15 against the Packers, and the end of the season with a league-high 175 tackles, along with 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Named as a reserve to the 2011 Pro Bowl on January the 2nd, 2011. In the same year, he was named to the 2010 All-Pro team. On December 17th of 2011, at the beginning of Week 15, it was announced that he had signed a 5-year extension. In 2011, missed 3 games due to injuries, but still managed to eclipse the 100-tackle mark. And, of course, him and the Patriots reached Super Bowl 46, where he had 11 tackles in that game, but lost to the Giants 21-17. 2012, voted a defensive co-captain by his teammates for the 4th year in a row. On November the 16th, was fined $10,000 for a late hit out of bounds on Week 10 against CJ Spiller of the Buffalo Bills, drew an unnecessary roughness call. Later in the year, however, he was selected to the 2013 Pro Bowl. In the 2013 season, he was placed on injured reserve on October 16th after tearing his pectoral muscle. On October 13th, in an epic comeback win against the New Orleans Saints. Ask Scott Zolak, he'll tell you how epic it was. 2014, on the same date, October 16th, placed on injured reserve with a torn patellar tendon that he suffered in a game against the Buffalo Bills in Week 6. And then in 2015, his playing time was dipped, being behind Dante Hightower and Jamie Collins on the depth chart. And then on January the 19th, days before the AFC Championship game, was again placed on injured reserve with a shoulder injury. 3rd consecutive year his season ended early. And then on February 16th, Mayo posted the following message on his Instagram account, announcing his retirement, thanking the Patriots for the previous 8 years. A well-known work ethic that earned him a reputation as a player who shows up early, stays late, watches film, practices hard, and puts himself through intense workouts in the team's weight room. His positive attitude was highlighted in Michael Holley's book, War Room. And I'm going to read you an excerpt from that book. Mayo had been a top 10 pick who didn't act like one. On draft day, when the best of the best are invited to New York, often wearing made-for-occasion tailored suits, Mayo had been home in Virginia with his family raking leaves. He was a worker there and a worker in Foxborough. In the off-season, he'd come to the stadium and watch film, even when there were no coaches to be found. He loved the game, and it could be seen by the way he played middle linebacker, never turning down the opportunity to plug a hole or run sideline to sideline. That an excerpt out of Michael Holley's book, War Room, a book that I know Michael Bullock has read, and I know Bullock will get into that when we get to him. But 502 total tackles in his career. Combined 756 combined tackles. I believe 502 were solo and 254 were assists. 10 sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 7 fumble recoveries, 3 career interceptions, and played in 87 career games. And that's all there is to say about it. So Yeah. As many of you know, I'm not a New England Patriots fan. Unlike a certain someone who's in very close proximity to me right now. But I'll say it like this: say what you want about the New England Patriots. You know, they're dirty, rotten cheaters, and all this yada 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 and whatnot. But Gerard Mayo is one of the finest, not only one of the finest defensive players I've ever seen, but he's also one of the finest young men I've ever seen as well. I mean, the work ethic that he put in. I mean, his body of work just spoke for itself. It's a damn shame his career had to come to an abrupt end at only 30 years old. I mean, Godspeed to Gerard Mayo, and we here at Strictly Sports want to wish him the very best in his future endeavors. So, yeah, so a wonderful career, one of the heart and souls of that New England Patriot defense, and at least he can go. At least he can say, "Hey, I won a Super Bowl ring." So at least he's going out with a Super Bowl ring. You know, when they won it two seasons ago, when in that epic win against the Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 49, Super Bowl for the ages. We all know that. So I don't know what else there is to say except, well, a spectacular career for Gerard Mayo, and we wish him the very best in his endeavors. So I don't know what's next for him, but we wish him the very best. So, Michael Bullock, this is one. I know he was a favorite of yours because, you know, considering that, you know, this is your team after all, the New England Patriots, and I know Gerard Mayo was the heart and soul of your team's defense for all these years, and you know his body of work just spoke for itself. And you know, not only was he a great player on the field, but he was also an equally great man off the field. And so, Michael Bullock, I like to I turn it over to you now. I know this has got to be killing you. I know this is hard for you as a Patriot fan. I know you really didn't want to see his career come to an end, but Bullock, I ask you now, man, your thoughts on the retirement of Gerard Mayo from the New England Patriots. So, Michael Bullock, it's all yours, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised when I heard that Gerard Mayo that announced his retirement. I mean, like you said, he was only 30 years old, and it looked like he was coming to his prime. And of course, like you said, he was drafted 10th overall by the Patriots in the 2008 draft, and he was signed on July 4th, 2008 to a 5-year contract worth 18.9 million and including 13.8 million in bonuses and guarantees. And he was named the Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he ended the year, of course, with 128 tackles, 100 of them solo, and then the 2009 season, he finished with 103 tackles and 1.5 sacks. But he did miss 6 to 8 weeks with a sprained MCL. 2010 was that year he was named a defensive captain, and that year he had a league high 175 tackles with 2 sacks and 1 forced fumble, and he was named to the as a reserve to the Pro Bowl in 2011. Well, to the 2011 Pro Bowl, and was named to the All Pro team, and then on December 17th, 2011, at the beginning of Week 15, he announced he had a 5-year contract extension, and then 2011 had another 100 tackle season. The year the Patriots went to the Super Bowl. And then, of course, 2012 was once again a defensive co-captain for the 4th straight year. Yeah, and of course was selected to another Pro Bowl, and then of course 2013 he ended up tearing his pectoral muscle on October 13th against the Saints and that ended his season. And then in 2014, he suffered a torn patella tendon in Week 6, which ended his season. And then in 2015, Gerard Mayo basically his playing time dipped in 2015 because of the emergence of Dante Hightower and Jamie Collins. And then, of course, he suffered a shoulder injury days before days before the AFC Championship game. So, yeah, basically, he was a hard-working player. He was one of the best defensive leaders on that defense. So basically, I just want to send Gerard Mayo the best in his future endeavors, and thank you for being a New England Patriot, and you'll always be a Patriot to us. So yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say except, Florio, let's move on to our next topic.
Yeah. Derek was hoping that we could have had Michael Fletcher on. We would have had, if Fletcher was on, we would have gotten his thoughts about, the Manny Pacquiao controversy. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't want to get into that because, that's something something I really, really prefer not to get into, honestly. So I say we just move on to the main event of the evening, which is going to be our power rankings. And I had reached out to Derek Ferreira to see. He set the same docket as last week, so I'm just assuming that it's probably going to be our college basketball power rankings here again. So I guess that's probably what we're going to be doing here. I messaged him earlier. He never got back to me. I don't know if Michael Bullock can get a hold of him and see if that's still the case. I just want to be sure we have the right. I just want to be sure we have the right rankings here.
Yeah, I'll actually message him right now.
Yeah, because I know you have contact information, a lot more contact information for Derek than I do, Bullock. So yeah, hopefully we can get an immediate response to that. Like I said, we didn't have a show last week because we all had commitments beyond our control. And it was initially it was going to be college hoop power rankings. That's what we were going to be doing. And like I said, I messaged Derek earlier to see if that was still the case, and he never got back to me. So I'm hoping that Michael Bullock will have better success getting a hold of Derek than I just did. So before we move on, like I said, I just want to be absolutely positively sure we have the right power rankings. I just want to make sure we're doing the right ones here before anything else. So yeah. It's been a very crazy week in college basketball. But then again, when isn't it? The number one team went down the other night, the Villanova Wildcats, losing to the Xavier Musketeers in a very exciting game, to say the very least. And, this college hoop season has been, topsy-turvy. And, our own PC Friars have all of a sudden gone into a complete and utter tailspin as of late, and not in a good way. And, you got the SMU Mustangs, who are at number 24. Doing some great things, even though we're not going to see them in the postseason. And then same with the Louisville Cardinals, who are currently at number 11 right now. And then how about the Duke Blue Devils? Duke coming with what's been going on with Duke this year. They started off very slowly, and all of a sudden they're now number 15. Duke is making a major run here, the defending national champions. Just simply incredible with what's been going on. And in that Villanova Xavier game the other night, that was a very exciting game, to say the very least. And for a lot of religious pundits out there, I know it was very exciting for them. Two Catholic schools. two very religious universities there, meeting in a high stakes game for the first time in like 30 plus years. I mean, just simply incredible. So, so yeah. So that's all I can say about it. Any word yet, Bullock, or no? I'm guessing not.
Still nothing yet.
Okay. So, I had messaged, like I said, I messaged Derek a little bit ago to see what the story is, and okay, I was just checking a post, but I tell you, I mean, just and Michael Fletcher and I, we me and him and Derek Ferreira and Eric Carrier on a Facebook post, we had a back and forth recently about how this is one of the most wide, if not the most wide open college basketball season we've ever had. I mean, no clear cut favorite to win the national championship this year. I mean, just unreal. I mean, nobody's a clear cut favorite, and I even said that PC was a dark horse, but with the tailspin that they're going on right now, I mean, I'm starting to have some second thoughts about that. So, but yeah, I mean, anybody can win the national championship this year. I mean, we just don't know who that's going to be at this time. So, so yeah, so I don't know about you, Bullet, but I mean,
Yeah, I still haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I know. But not having that show last week, I mean, that really, really, really messed things up. And but then again, we all had commitments, and Derek likes to say we all have lives outside of YouTube and everything else. But initially, last week we were going to have the college hoop power rankings last week, and the reason why I'm just making sure. I just want to be absolutely positively sure that that we have the right rankings before we do anything else, and I don't want to have us do a certain rankings and then get told that it was supposed to be a different set. And I've always been of the better safe than sorry mantra. So, but then again, who isn't? So, so yeah. I don't want. Oh, okay.
What is it?
No. I see that Derek is on the Facebook chat. I don't know if he got your message or if he got mine, but so just give me 1 second here, fans.
Yeah, I see he's on there right now, but still hasn't responded.
Let me try him again. Yeah, I do apologize for the slight delay here. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get a response in a matter of moments.
Well, what do you want to do if if we don't hear from Derek.
Well, Derek's seen the message. I'm just waiting for him to. I'm just hoping that we get a response within. Well, hold on. I think I'm about to get a response here from Derek here. I think Derek's about to message me here. So I think we're about to have a response here. Okay, so
And what does he say?
Okay, yep. I just wanted to be 100% sure. So yep,
Sounds like we are.
yep. It is indeed the college basketball power rankings. So and while I have him here, I may as well ask about next week. So all right. So it is indeed the college basketball power rankings for this week. You know us. We just wanted to be 100% sure before we did anything. So yeah. College basketball power rankings. That's what we're going to get into this time around. So because we didn't do them last week because of the cancellation of the show. So just bear with me for a minute as I look into my. I guess I didn't make one. And I asked Derek about what league it is for next week, and Derek is saying he believes it's NHL. So okay, so we'll do the NHL next week. Okay, so yep, so excuse me there. Just taking care of something here. So all right. I thought I had a college basketball power ranking spreadsheet. I should just check my Excel files real quick. I know I had sworn I had thought I did one. Okay, so I could have sworn I did a college basketball power ranking spreadsheet. I guess I didn't. So okay. All right. So I think we've just covered power rankings for the next couple of weeks here on Strictly Sports. But yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be college basketball this week. Then it's the NHL next week, and then the following week it'll be the NBA. So, and then we'll go from there. So yeah. So with that said, we're going to start off the this college basketball power ranking, and an announcement that Derek has just made. We're going to have a preview of next week's UFC pay-per-view. So, yeah, and that's why he was asking me if Michael Fletcher will be on next week. So we'll see how that goes. So Okay, so we'll start it off. There's going to be a slight change at there's going to be a couple of changes in the upper echelon of the ranking. I have a new number one in the power ranking, and it's not who you think. It's not who you think. So so yeah, new number one, but it's not who you think. So with all that said, let's start it at number 10, and looking at the body of work here, at the recent body of work. Let me see who I have. My number 10 is the Arizona Wildcats. That's who I have at number 10 in this installment of the college basketball power rankings this time around. Definitely had to go with that with Zona here. It was a toss up between them and the Maryland Terrapins, but Maryland's body of work just a little better right now. I mean, I got to give it to I got to give it to Arizona here, mainly because of the fact that they lost. That they lost to the Colorado Buffaloes in their last game. So that weighs a little heavy on me. So I don't remember when we did the last power college basketball rankings. I mean, I know we did them. I think it was the week before the Super Bowl. I'm not quite sure on that, but Zona was playing some good ball lately. I mean, they beat Washington State, they beat Washington, they beat UCLA and USC and Arizona State, but they were on a big winning streak. But then they lost to Colorado, and that weighed heavily on me. So their next game, they only have 3 games left. They're at Utah this afternoon on ESPN, and then Thursday night they go to. Well, actually, they're at home against Cal, and then their regular season finale is next Saturday afternoon when they host the Stanford Cardinal. So Arizona Wildcats 22-6, third in the Pac-12. So I think it's safe to say we're definitely gonna see them in the NCAA tournament. They're probably gonna be a high draw. So and Colorado, they're a decent, they're a good team this year. I mean, they're actually a halfway decent team this time around. 20-9, fifth in the Pac-12. I think I just came across. But I got to drop Arizona because of that loss. So it was a tough call, but the Arizona Wildcats are my number 10. So Bullock, the age-old question: agree or disagree?
I have to agree with you. The Arizona Wildcats, they are my number 10 for this week. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say except I'm just gonna move on to number 9.
You want me to take it, or do you want it?
Actually, hold on just a second. Sorry about that. I'll actually take it.
All right, who you got?
All right. All right. I thought I. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, hold on a minute. I thought I did have it. Oh. Yeah. Sorry about that. It's my number 9. I'm gonna go with the Maryland Terrapins. That's what I'm going with. Yeah. Oh, I lost it there for a minute. Just pulling up there. Yeah, of course. Excuse me. Here we go. Whoop. Yep. Yeah. Of course. And of course, their last win basically came on Sunday against the Michigan Wolverines, and of course they won that one 86 to 82, and of course, they got a game. They got a big one coming up in the Big Ten, on coming up on or should I say today, for this matter. They're going up against the number 20 Purdue Boilermakers, and take a look at the remaining schedule for the regular season. They got the Illinois Fighting Illini on March 3rd at 7 o'clock. That should be no problem. And then to close out the Big Ten portion of the regular season, they got to go up against the number 18 Indiana Hoosiers. And yeah, and the Indiana Hoosiers, I mean, that's a team to basically keep an eye on. And they could give Maryland some fits in this one. And yeah, and of course, yeah, give me just a minute here. So, but yeah, you know what? I think that's basically it when it comes to that. So my number 9, I need to see a little bit more for them, especially going into the Big Ten tournament. It is the Maryland Terrapins. So, Florio, I give it to you.
Slight disagreement there, Bullock. I got Maryland just a smidgen higher, and I do mean smidgen.
The only reason, the only reason why I have them at number 9, to be quite honest with you, give me just a minute here. I'm just trying to pull it up, because they lost to Minnesota, the unranked Minnesota Golden Gophers. So because of that, I have to punish them just a little bit. So I mean,
I understand that, but they won their last game, and the team that I have at the team I have at number 9,
and Michigan is I mean, yeah, they're still a good team, but they're not like the team that we've seen the last few years.
Understandable, but I
mean, just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So with all that said, I think I might have made a I think I need to make a change here in my rankings. I'm actually going to move Arizona up just a little bit. I don't think they're still going to be there, but I'm going to move them up a little bit, because the team that I have at my now number 10, I have to go with the Iowa Hawkeyes. I'm dropping Iowa down to number 10 because they're on a 2-game losing streak, losing to 2 unranked teams. One of them was the Penn State Nittany Lions in Happy Valley, and then they lose to the Wisconsin Badgers, so who are also unranked, even though they got a good record. So they are 20-7. They're second in the Big Ten. So they have 3 games left. They're at Ohio State on Sunday afternoon. And then Tuesday night, they host the Indiana Hoosiers on ESPN. And then their regular season finale is next Saturday at the Michigan Wolverines on the Big Ten Network. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I have to make a change to mine too, and put Iowa at number 10 and Arizona at number 9. And then that would mean Maryland would probably be at number 8.
Yeah. Yeah, because Maryland, they won their last game against Michigan, and that's a big deal to me. So I have to go. And we already talked about, so Arizona Wildcats are now my number 9, and the Maryland Terrapins are my number 8. Like Bullock said, a couple of bad losses. Well, Wisconsin, that's not a bad loss at all. Minnesota, yes, that is a bad loss. Oh, believe that. The worst team of the Big Ten, 8-19. Yeah, that weighs heavily. So But the reason why I got to give them the slight edge here at number, when you look at the body of work, is because of the fact Arizona beat Colorado, and Colorado's, a so-so team, and Maryland beat Michigan, and Michigan, that's a big one for me. So 3 games left for the Terrapins. They go to Purdue this afternoon, and then on Thursday they take on Illinois, and then their regular season finale is next Sunday at Indiana. So we touched on everything on that. So the Maryland Terrapins are my number 8. So once again, Iowa Hawkeyes are number 10. Arizona Wildcats are number 9. Maryland Terrapins are at number 8. And as we go back into the rankings here, I'm actually, did you do your number 8, Bullock?
I already said mine. I already told you.
Yeah, it's Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you have Zona at 9 and Iowa at 10, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So just wanted to be sure on that. So now remember, these are our power rankings. They don't necessarily reflect the AP top 25 or whatever rankings you see out there. So so with all that said, my number 7 right now, it's very tough. I'm going to be honest with you, but studying and looking and researching the body of work of these teams, and yeah, very difficult to say the very least. But my number 7, I'm going to go with the Virginia Cavaliers at number 7. Because they've been up and down a little bit right now, and the teams that I currently have ahead of them are playing a lot better than they are right now, if I'm being honest with you. Their last game, they lost to the Miami Hurricanes, 64-61. And 3 games left. Of course, they have a huge game tonight on ESPN when they host the North Carolina Tar Heels. And then on Tuesday night, they go to Clemson to take on the Clemson Tigers. That game on ESPN University. And then next Saturday night at 9, their regular season finale against the Louisville Cardinals. So it's a very good young team, They currently sit at 21-6 and 4th in the ACC. Like I said, I want to see a little more from them, to be honest with you, especially after that loss to Miami, who's an honorable mention, by the way, as well as the Louisville Cardinals. So that's all I can say about that. So number 7 is the Virginia Cavaliers. Michael Bullock, do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah. My number 7. I'm gonna go with the Virginia Cavaliers as well. So yeah. So there's really nothing else for me to say. So you pretty much touched on everything. So let's move on to our number 6.
All right. Are you taking it or am I taking it?
You could take it.
All right. Yeah. Like I said, it doesn't get any easier. I'll tell you right now, my number 1 is an absolute no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Hell, my top 2 are no-brainers. I'm gonna be real honest with you. 1 and 2. It's just these remaining few are gonna be, very, very difficult to say the very least. And given it a lot of thought, and I've been back and forth between the Oklahoma Sooners and the North Carolina Tar Heels. I'll tell you that right now. And looking at the body of work of both of these teams, I gotta ask myself, whose body of work was better? whose body of work deserves the benefit of the doubt. I mean,
It's
they're
a
currently
tough one.
both. Who's that?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Oh yeah, very, very much so.
Yeah,
I mean, do you give it to Oklahoma, who has won 2 straight games against the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Oklahoma State Cowboys? Do you give them the benefit of the doubt? Or do you go with the North Carolina Tar Heels, who defeated the Miami Hurricanes, and then follow that up with a win against their in-state rivals, the NC State Wolfpack, on Wednesday night? It's very tough, but I gotta go with the Oklahoma Sooners at number 6. So I'm giving Carolina the benefit of the doubt here. So my number 6 is the Oklahoma Sooners.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, Oklahoma 22-5, second in the Big 12. I mean, big win against West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia is a very good team, but Oklahoma State, I mean, yeah, it was a great win, but when you look at the strength of victory, Oklahoma State's a under 500 team, and I have to give the slight edge to Carolina here. So my number 6 is the Oklahoma Sooners. I mean, I love Buddy Hield. I love this young man's body of work. He's definitely one of my front runners for National Player of the Year. Oklahoma currently 22-5, second in the Big 12, and they've won 2 games in a row. They beat the West Virginia Mountaineers last Saturday, 76-62, and then a 71-49 beatdown of Oklahoma State. The Red River rivalry takes to the hard court this afternoon when they go up against the Texas Longhorns in Austin. That game will be on CBS at 2 o'clock. And then Tuesday night on ESPN2, they host the Baylor Bears. And then they end the season next Saturday, March 5th. I believe it's on ESPN News when they go up against the Horned Frogs of TCU. So Oklahoma is definitely one of the top favorites, no question about it. I just want to see a little more from them. I mean, they are on a 2-game winning streak. I mean, West Virginia is a great win, but Oklahoma State, even though it was an impressive win, Oklahoma State's meh team, if I'm going to be honest with you. So I have to give the slight body of work edge to Carolina on this one. So with that said, the Oklahoma Sooners are my number 6. Bullock, it sounded to me like you agreed with that.
Yeah, I got the Oklahoma Sooners as my number 6 as well. So there's really nothing more to say except let's move on to number 5. Even though I think we already know who we have at number 5, but
Yep.
I think I'll enlighten I'll enlighten those people out there, and it is the North Carolina Tar Heels. I mean, they're my number 5 for this week in the power rankings, of course. And of course, looking at the schedule, of course, they did get wins, of course, over Miami and the 11th ranked Miami Hurricanes, and a win over NC State. But what killed them was, of course, losing to their rivals, the 20th ranked Duke Blue Devils, and I know that's going to make Mike Fletcher real happy, of course.
Oh, you want to talk about happy? Unbelievable. I mean, he was gushing all over his Facebook post if you didn't read that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, but like I said, the one over Miami and NC State really got them back on track. And of course, their schedule coming up, of course, this is a big one. They have to, they basically have to go into they have to go in and face the number 3 team in the nation, the Virginia Cavaliers. Whew. That's a big game in the ACC, especially when it comes to seedings in the ACC tournament. Then, of course, on the 29th, they got the Syracuse Orangemen, and then they close out the regular season on March 5th. They have to travel to Yes, to Cameron Indoor Stadium for another date with the Duke Blue Devils. Whew, boy, I mean that's something I'm definitely going to be watching on that night. So yeah, I mean, let's see, let me pull up. But yeah, I mean, North Carolina. I mean, like I said, getting back on track after losing to Duke. So yeah, so definitely they want to make way going into the not just the ACC tournament, but we all think they're going to head to the NCAA tournament. So yeah, so my number 5 is the North Carolina Tar Heels. So that being said, Florio, I give it to you.
Yep, the North Carolina Tar Heels are my number 5 as well. I mean, just Bullock went down everything. I mean, impressive wins against the Miami Hurricanes. We all know how great Miami is, considering their body of work, and NC State, 500 teams. So I had to give Carolina the slight edge over Oklahoma when it comes to the rankings there. And Bullock touched on that big game at Virginia tonight. That's a humongous game right there on ESPN. And then Monday night, they welcome the Syracuse Orange to the Dean Dome in their home finale. And that will be on ESPN as well. And then, of course, next Saturday night, the big one, Carolina at Duke, Cameron Indoor Stadium, 6:30 on ESPN. So 3 very high-profile games for Roy Williams and company, who currently
They
sit
better
at
have Dick Vitale calling that game.
Oh, of course. Whereas in our circles, you would have Michael Fletcher on the call of that game if we were doing commentary. But anytime there's a Carolina and Duke game, it's going to be Michael Fletcher. So that's all
And
there is.
if there's a crazy moment, Dick Vitale's gonna go nuts.
Oh, it's awesome, baby! What a game!
Are you serious?
Dipsy Doo Dunkaroo. Yeah. Oh, we love him. Yeah. So
yeah, how do you not love Dick Vitale?
Gotta love that Dipsy Doo Dunkaroo, man. That Dipsy Doo Dunkaroo, the diaper dandy. Oh yeah. 23-5, first in the ACC for North Carolina. So, yeah, tough road ahead for them coming up. So there's nothing left to say here. The North Carolina Tar Heels are my number 5. Number 4, I'll start it off. And I got to go with the Michigan State Spartans at number 4. 23-5, 4th in the Big Ten. They're currently on a 3-game winning streak. I mean, they've had a very impressive season so far. They won that Wooden Legacy tournament. They beat PC to do that. Their last loss was against the Purdue, to of all teams, the Purdue Boilermakers, losing 82-81 in overtime on February 9th. But since then, they won 3 in a row. Easy win over Indiana on Valentine's Day, and then they beat Wisconsin on February the 18th. And then this past Tuesday, they went into Ohio State and beat the Buckeyes 81-62. Their next game is Sunday afternoon at home against the Penn State Nittany Lions. That'll be on the Big Ten Network. And then Wednesday night, they go to Rutgers, take on the Scarlet Knights. That's also on the Big Ten Network, 7 o'clock. And then regular season finale at home in East Lansing against the Ohio State Buckeyes next Saturday afternoon, high noon on ESPN. They're going to be a tough draw once we get to the NCAA tournament. Tom Izzo, you know how great Michigan State is come tournament time, and those afterburners will be kicked on and ready to go. So my number 4, no question about it. It is the Michigan State Spartans. The rest of the way, it's easy. It's straight shooting from here. It's easy stuff. I already know who I had. They're all no brainers. So number 4, the Michigan State Spartans. Michael Bullock, do you agree or disagree with that?
No, I agree with you. My number 4 is the Michigan State Spartans. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say except let's head into the top 3.
And I'll start it off at number 3 if you'd like. I got it. or do you
No,
want it?
I'll actually take it.
All right, who you got at number 3?
We didn't mention Oklahoma, did we?
I did.
Oh, you did.
I had him at number
What?
6. I had him at number 6.
Oh, all right. And I think I did too, right?
You may have. I could take the number 3 if you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I already
think
got
you better take it.
Yeah, I got this. This is a no-brainer for me. This team was number 1 for a while.
Oh yeah.
But after a tough loss on Wednesday night, I got to bump them. My number 3 is the Villanova Wildcats. Villanova Wildcats are my number 3 in this college basketball power ranking. 24-4, first in the Big East, but a very tough loss to the Xavier Musketeers on Wednesday night in a very highly anticipated game. And it was Xavier that came out with the Duke. Snapped a 7-game winning streak for Nova. It was their first loss since a tough luck loss to the Providence Friars at home on January the 24th. That was an 82-76 overtime loss. And then Villanova after that had wheeled off 7 consecutive wins against the likes of St. John's, Creighton. They got their revenge against Providence right here in Providence at the Dunk the day before the Super Bowl. And then an easy win at DePaul. What else is new? DePaul, the proverbial punching bag of the Big East. Barely got by St. John's again. And then they had an in-state win over an in-state rival Temple. They got by them with no trouble. Barely got by Butler, a 10-point win over Butler last Saturday, but then they ran into the Xavier Musketeers and they lost to Xavier 90-83 on Wednesday night. Their next game is this afternoon on Fox, 2 o'clock, when they go to the Bradley Center in Milwaukee to take on the Marquette Golden Eagles. And then Tuesday night, they're at home against DePaul, Fox Sports 1, 7 o'clock. And then their regular season finale next Saturday afternoon, high noon on Fox, against their most hated rival, of course. You know who that is, the Georgetown Hoyas. Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot of those two really don't like each other if you're a Big East pundit like myself. So I still think Villanova is the team is one of the favorites, another one of the favorites to win the national championship. I mean, I love this team's body of work. Jay Wright has done a tremendous job with this team, and before the loss to Xavier, I had them as my overall number 1 seed going into the NCAA tournament. Not anymore right now. So there's nothing left to say about it except Arcidiacono and Hart. I love those two young men's body of work, and I think this team is going to definitely be one of those teams to watch for when we get to the NCAA tournament in a couple of weeks. So number 3 is the Villanova Wildcats. So Bullock, it sounded to me like you agreed with that.
Yeah, that is correct. My number 3 is the Villanova Wildcats. So yeah, there's really nothing else for me to say except let's move on to number 2, and I'll take this one.
All right, who you got?
My number 2 is the Xavier Musketeers.
Yes, sir.
Is the team that unseated the number 1 Villanova Wildcats, and that's what basically propelled them to be my number 2 in the power rankings. And yeah, I mean they're definitely one of the teams to definitely keep an eye out for in the Big East tournament. I mean, in my honest opinion, if they continue playing the way they are right now, I think they could definitely win the Big East tournament. I mean, besides the win over, Villanova. Ooh, yeah. Besides the win over Villanova, they also have gotten wins over Georgetown. I thought I lost it. I lost my right. Yeah, I mean they did beat Georgetown as well. Yeah, I got it back up now. Of course, they've also got, of course, a win over the PC Friars, and of course, they also got a win over the Butler Bulldogs, and of course, their last loss came on February 9th against the Creighton Blue Jays. But their upcoming schedule, of course, they got Seton Hall on the Sunday, and then they close out the regular season on the 5th against the Creighton Blue Jays again. So yeah, they're definitely a team to keep an eye on, not just in the Big East tournament, but the NCAA tournament. So Xavier's my number 2. So Florio, it is yours.
I agree with you. Number 2, mute your mic there. Number 2, indeed, it is the Xavier Musketeers. I mean, what else is there to say, man? I mean, you ran down everything. I mean, they've won 4 in a row, and since their last loss to Creighton on the 9th of this month, went into Butler, beat Butler, a big win against PC on the 17th, and then easy win at Georgetown, and then of course the humongous win, maybe one of the biggest wins in school history, defeating the Villanova Wildcats on Wednesday night. Like I said, in a very highly anticipated game, J.P. Makura, 19 points off the bench, and Edmund Sumner, 19 points and 9 assists to lead the way. So Makura and Sumner, I mean, they had 6 starters in double figures. Not just Makura and Sumner. They also had Miles Davis, who had 16, Jalen Reynolds, 11, James Farr and Trevon Blewett had 10. So this is a dangerous team going into the NCAA tournament. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I can honestly say I think they're the team to beat now in the Big East tournament, especially if they can beat Villanova. Surely they can beat the rest of the pack. So I got them as my favorites to win the Big East tournament. And if that keeps up, then who knows? They could be a favorite to go all the way. I mean, this is a great young team. I'm really loving this team's body of work. At Seton Hall, like Bullock said, Sunday, that's on FS1. And then next Saturday afternoon, 2:30, Fox, season finale against Creighton. You know they're going to have revenge on their minds after what Creighton did to them up in Omaha. So yeah, 100% agree with you there, Bullock. Number 2 is the Xavier Musketeers. Number 1, there's absolutely no doubt about this one. My number 1 is the Kansas Jayhawks. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, indeed. They are number 1. 24-4, first in the Big 12. Hottest team in college basketball right now. I mean, what can you say about Bill Self's crew? I mean, they are rolling at the right time. I tell you, really. They haven't lost since January the 25th when they lost to the Iowa State Cyclones, 85-72. But since then, they've won 8 in a row. They're the hottest team right now. They've won 8 games in a row. And they've beaten, get this lineup, Bullock, they've beaten Kentucky in overtime, Kansas State, TCU, well, at TCU. The games against Kentucky and Kansas State were both at home, by the way, at Fog Allen. At TCU, home win against West Virginia, won a great rematch at Oklahoma, easy home win against Oklahoma State, went into Kansas State and beat beat their in-state rivals again, and then they went into Baylor and beat Baylor Tuesday night. So next game this afternoon at home, high noon, ESPN against the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and then they go to Austin, take on the Texas Longhorns, Monday night at 9, ESPN, and then next Saturday, regular season finale, ESPN, 4 o'clock at home against the Iowa State Cyclones. They got revenge on their minds. So yeah, they're the hottest team right now, and they're the scariest team right now, and this is a team that you do not want to see in the NCAA tournament. And I'll tell you what, if they keep doing what they're doing right now, they're definitely going to be, and as of right now, according to SBNation.com, the front runners to win the NCAA tournament this year, one of them is the Kansas Jayhawks, along with the Michigan State Spartans. So, but like I said, watch out for Xavier, and that's all I can say about that. So, even though Michigan State is 7-1 straight up and 8-0 against the spread over their last 8 games, Tom Izzo's squad appears to be rounding into form as the tournament approaches. Michigan State co-favorite to win the NCAA tournament, and Kansas perfect 8-0, and SU and ATS over its last 8 games, and that's a stretch that includes home wins over Kentucky and West Virginia, and road wins over Oklahoma, Kansas State, and Baylor. And the Jayhawks look to be rounding into top form just in time for the postseason. And no team is hotter right now. They took over first place in the Big 12 from Oklahoma, as Oklahoma dominated all year long. So, yeah, those betting line favorites, you got to watch those. So, there's no doubt about this one. Hottest team right now, winners of 8 in a row. If it wasn't for that, I would have put Xavier at number 1 just because of that win over Villanova alone. But you got to be. But their body of work has just been too damn good. We can't ignore it. So, number 1, Kansas Jayhawks, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Michael Bullock, wrap it up.
Number 1, Kansas Jayhawks. Really got nothing more to say except let's put a bow on this edition of Strictly Sports.
And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So that concludes this edition of Strictly Sports. I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. So shout out time, and Michael Bullock, you get it all. You get the whole thing started, and then I'll take it, and then I'll go into future content, and a very exciting future content, to say the very least. So, Bullock, it's all yours.
All right. Of course, we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in for another edition of Strictly Sports. Another fun show here, to say the very least, here tonight. Of course, shout outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this or the Wrestling Forum. And of course, shout outs to our super fans, Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonbaugh. Shout outs to all of our friends from high school days, Al Berterson, Jimmy Alden, Rob Parsons, Eric Carrier, Tom Souza, the First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaisa Butler, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Megan Silva, to Mike Fletcher, who couldn't join us because of work commitments, to Derek Ferreira for his continued success, I should say, on the sports blog, and of course, to our personalities from starting off, or our local personalities, of course, starting with Ken Bell from ABC6, Frank Harpano and Joe Chiara from NBC 10, Yanni Caracas, Mark Dondero, Patrick Little from Channel 12, of course, Jenny Dell of CBS, and of course, our personalities from ESPN, starting with the women, Sarah Walsh, Lindsay Zarniak, Jade McCarthy, Lisa Kearney, Jamie Sire, and of course, for the males, of course, Jonathan Coachman and Robert Flores. And of course, from Fox Sports 1, Aaron Andrews, Carissa Thompson, Julie Stewart Binks, and the rest of that fine crew over there at Fox Sports. Of course, to our friends from the Road Show, of course, starting off with former co-hosts Mary Larson and Megan Mooney. And of course, the 3 great people who hosted, of course, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson. Of course, also I gotta say to Emily Austin of the former Celtics reporter, and of course Stata Sorrell and Lindsay McCormick. And there's one more shout out I want to give to, and that's my partner in crime, Anthony Florio. If you guys didn't check on the
I'll
wrestling,
elaborate on that in just a moment.
All right. I wasn't quite sure on that, so I'll save it for you. So with that being said, so until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, where we will review another, what I think is going to be an exciting edition of Monday Night Raw, of course, with some of the big things that are going to go down. Of course, the number 1 contenders match for the the number one contenders match for the Divas title. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch going at it, and the big one, an appearance by my man, the Dead Man, the Phenom, the Undertaker. What is he going to have to say about his WrestleMania matchup against Shane McMahon? You're all going to have to wait and find out Monday night. So, man, this road to WrestleMania has gotten off to a really good start. Hopefully, it continues this Monday night on Raw. So, until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, this is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. So, with that being said, Florio, take us home and set up the future content for the rest of the way.
All right, will do, my man. I very much appreciate the shout out there. I'll get into that big announcement in just a moment. The reason why Bullock was giving me that huge shout out.
Like big announcement Dixie.
Oh yes, big announcement Dixie, big announcement Derek, and you're gonna have big announcement Tony here in just a moment. So, but nonetheless, I also want to continue. I also want to give a very special shout out to all you great fans out there. You know, for what you fine folks did for my channel a week ago, when Michael Bullock and I previewed the WWE Fastlane pay-per-view. I never thought in my wildest dreams that as of this moment that we currently sit at 376 views on that video. I mean, I never thought I'd see a number that high for one of my videos in my lifetime. And it's just a testament to how truly wonderful you fans are out there. So, and that's why all four of us, you know, me and Michael Bullock and Michael Fletcher and of course Derek Ferrera, who's the brainchild behind all of this. I mean, and of course, you know, the men and women behind the scenes. I mean, that's why we love doing what we do. That's why we love doing these shows each and every week, whether it is the Strictly Sports or the Wrestling Forum. And you fans make it as ridiculously over as it is. And it's because of that we always want to give you the special shout out at the very start. So very special shout out to all of you tremendous fans and viewers who continue to do that. You are the best fans of the world. So that's enough said. 376 views. I mean, I still can't get over that. So thank you all so much for that. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. I really do. Of course, we can't forget about our super fans, Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, and the entire Woodson family, Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonball, our insiders. Of course, Daniel Luttrell from the UK, our first ladies, Megan Silva and Kaiser Butler, and the rest of our crew, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Braderson, and Rob Parsons, and of course, the other two who make our Fortune 4, if you will, Michael Fletcher, work commitments as usual, going to be with us tonight. He'll be back with us. He should be back with us Monday night for the Wrestling Forum. And then Derek Ferrera, who I'll have a big announcement about in just a little bit. Continued success on the sports blog. And of course, his YouTube videos that he does from time to time, you know, his podcast, you know, about Monday Night Raw and pay-per-views and whatnot. So special shout out to Derek Ferrera indeed. Of course, all of our personalities, like Bullock mentioned, from Channel 6, 10, and 12 here in Rhode Island. They know who they are. When it comes to the folks of ESPN, there are two women that you're forgetting about, Bullock, that I think we should add to that list. You covered all the beautiful, great women over there on ESPN, but there are two that I think deserve special shout outs, and that's Cassidy Hubbarth from NBA Tonight, as well as a newcomer by the name of Serena Morales. I mean, you got to check out this young lady's body of work. She's a part of that new morning sports center with Jamie Sire and Jay Harris and Kevin Nagandi, which is a 3-hour sports center at 7 in the morning until 10, which has been really fantastic since it debuted a few weeks ago, just the morning after the Super Bowl. So continued great work by those folks over there. And so you covered everybody from ESPN. You covered everybody from Fox Sports 1. You covered everybody. Also, special shout outs to NHL Network personalities and Major League Baseball Network as well, MLB Network and the NFL Network with the Combine coming up. So if you're interested in that, even though I really don't give two craps about that whatsoever. But special shout out to all you great personalities out there. Olivia Harlan, special shout out to her. State of Sorrel, Lindsay McCormick, The Road Show, who just recently celebrated their 7th anniversary a week or so ago. We couldn't acknowledge it because we didn't have the show last week, but we'll acknowledge it. I mean, 7 years for The Road Show already. Just incredible. Through the various different co-hosts and everything else. Check in and give updates on their lives and whatnot and what they've been doing since they were on The Road Show. So that was a nice sight to see. And of course, you know, the former co-host, you know, Megan Mooney, who was in Washington, D.C., doing some great things over there. And Mary Larson. Hey, Mary Larson was on the show recently. She was on the show last week, sitting in the studio with Brendan Kirby while Will Gilbert and Michaela Johnson were on location at the Alex Anani Skating Center in Providence, downtown Providence. So, yeah, it was a very nice treat to see Mary Larson back. Of course, we wish her the continued success as well. And, of course, the 3 current hosts nowadays, you know who they are: Will Gilbert, Michaela Johnson, and Brendan Kirby. The Road Show continuing to do great things. Best morning show here in all of New England. We love it. I love it. Bullock loves it. Hell, Bullock's gotten to meet all the Road Show co-hosts on several occasions. So lucky him. Hopefully one day I'll get to experience the same myself. So, yeah. So keep up the continued great work, Road Show, and happy 7-year anniversary from all of us here at Strictly Sports. You folks deserve it. You're wonderful over there. And my last shout out, of course, you know, my church family at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street, Providence. Sunday morning Bible study at 9 a.m., Sunday morning service at 10, and then a Wednesday night Bible study at 7, and then other various events throughout the months. Special events that pop up once in a while. So if you need a church home, check them out. Exit 25 off Route 95. They're wonderful over there. They'll take great care of you. They've done wonders with me in the last year and change. I've been going to them. So, and I can't wait to see them all again on Sunday morning for it. I know will be another awesome Sunday morning service as usual. So, of course, the big announcement, Tony here. I'll get into that in just a moment. Of course, the future content. Of course, next time we'll see you will be Monday night for the Wrestling Forum. Myself, Michael Bullock, and Michael Fletcher will recap what should be another very exciting edition of Monday Night Raw, which will be live from the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. Like Bullock mentioned, an appearance by The Undertaker. It'll be very interesting to hear from The Undertaker going into his big-time Hell in a Cell match with Shane McMahon at WrestleMania, which should be awesome. We talk about The Undertaker training. How about Shane McMahon? Did you see that video of Shane McMahon training recently? Oh, yeah. So Shane O'Mac getting in primo shape for his match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania inside Hell in a Cell. And, of course, that number 1 contenders match for the Divas with Sasha Banks against Becky Lynch, with the winner to go up against Charlotte for the Divas Championship at WrestleMania. We'll see how that goes. And more developments, obviously, about Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose as they prepare for their no-holds-barred street fight. And, of course, also the latest on Triple H and Roman Reigns as they get ready to main event WrestleMania for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So we'll obviously have that and a whole lot more. Maybe some more matches will be added. Let's hope so. So that's Monday night. And of course, in addition to that, of course, Michael Fletcher will have his Mikey's Mindset, ROH, Lucha Underground. And I'll have my Tony's take on Impact Wrestling from this past Tuesday night, which was a lockdown edition where every match took place inside the 6 sides of steel cage. And of course, I'll also have my thoughts on SmackDown. You're not going to like what I'm going to have to say about SmackDown because that SmackDown was a terrible show. I'm just going to leave it at that. And yeah, so terrible, you're not going to believe the rating I'm going to give it. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Tune into that on Monday night. And then, of course, next Friday night, Strictly Sports. The only thing we know is NHL power rankings for next week, so we can brush up on the NHL for next week. One last thing before we wrap up, and that is, of course, the big announcement. If you didn't read the official Wrestling Forum Facebook post, yours truly, I, Anthony Florio, effective immediately, have been promoted. I am now going to be the full-time permanent host of the Wrestling Forum. And that's why Michael Bullock gave me the big shout out there. I appreciate that, buddy, as always. And what can I say except I very much appreciate this from the bottom of my heart, and I cannot thank Derek and the producers enough for, you know, it's one thing. It was one thing when I got the keys to the car on a per appearance basis, on a bit of a basis there. You know, those rare times where Derek would give me the keys to the car when Derek ran the show. But now to have the interim tag removed and now be the full-time permanent host of the Wrestling Forum means the world to me. And I cannot thank Derek and the producers enough for this wonderful, wonderful honor. And I will continue to not only make them proud, but I will also continue to do the show justice as well. So I couldn't be any more, very more humbled and very, very much appreciative of this, one of the greatest honors of my life. So I've loved, being up until this week, the interim host of the show, while Derek, fully committed to the sports blog and everything else. But Derek will be the executive producer of the Wrestling Forum, as well as the full-time columnist for sportsblog.com. And speaking of Derek Ferreira will be making his return to the Wrestling Forum during our WrestleMania week next month, which should be some very exciting stuff. He's going to be joining us when we preview the NXT TakeOver Dallas show, and he'll also be with us when we preview WrestleMania 32, and he will also be on when we have our complete in-depth recap of WrestleMania 32. So I cannot wait to see and hear from Derek Ferreira once again. These shows have not been the same without him, and I cannot wait to have him back on here next month. It should be some very exciting stuff, to say the very least. So thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart. Really, really means the world to me. So on that note, that's going to put a bow on this edition of Strictly Sports. We want to thank you also very much for tuning in. So until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Michael Fletcher and Derek Ferreira, saying, the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune Forest style. Have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Enjoy everything on this weekend. The college basketball, and then, of course, that big NHL Stadium Series game tonight with the Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche at Coors Field in Denver. Just have a very blessed weekend this weekend, and until Monday night, until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, you've been watching Strictly Sports right here on the Zone 25 and YouTube.com. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. And until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, Anthony Florio. So long.